Long ago, I told a story about how I met one of the creepiest guys in VR chat. This man had serious issues of trauma dumping and used his kind nature of me and plenty of other women to his advantage to try and isolate us from our friends. For those who have not seen my trauma dumping video, this man begged me to help revive his trust in women and was sobbing and pleading for me to give him a chance before turning his demeanor 180 degrees to casual and friendly as soon as I told him what he was doing was weird and creepy. The encounter ended with me blocking him and feeling all over very sick to my stomach for the duration of the night. I was also a tad bit flustered, but that was because, a friend came to my rescue and I was just like, oh. I talked about the importance of using the block button then, and that sometimes it is necessary to block someone even if you worry that you're going to hurt their feelings. Empaths, I feel like, are a constant target for harassment, not only from the trauma dumpers online, but also from the less empathetic people around that hear their stories. This isn't just a VR chat issue. Like many of the things that happen within my videos, this is a constant argument that expands to social media in a nutshell. I want to spend a moment talking about the power of the block button. Hey there y'all, my name is Nuoance, and I hope today's been well thus far. This has been a video that, once again, is inspired by my lovely comments section on TikTok. I told a story from a few months ago about when I was chatting to my male friends, and a girl I never met pulled me aside and asked me if they were making me uncomfortable. I thought it was a super sweet gesture, and it made my heart swell with warmth that somebody saw me and was concerned for my safety, video game or not. Of course, this is the internet. You're not allowed happy moments without somebody getting upset. This wasn't the video's fault. Somebody had commented that they would have done the same thing if they were in her shoes, and somebody else decided to comment on that this was in VR, there was no real danger, so if I had a problem, why not just block them and leave? And I mean, they're right, to an extent. I feel like there are people who put up with way too much toxicity before utilizing the block button, and this causes stress and unneeded frustration for the innocent party. However, many people tend to forget that although this is online, blocking someone isn't always going to make them leave you alone. Let's start out with the basics. What is blocking? In general, when you block another player, they are unable to see you, hear you, or interact with you in any way. Blocked players in VR chat are still able to interact with the world, and we'll get more into that later. But when you are blocked or block another, it's just the interactions between the two people that are canceled. This is a useful tool that is needed when there is someone in the instance that is making you uncomfortable or even just annoying. Time and time again, we see footage of people being harassed online with sexual comments, crazy animations, inappropriate actions, etc. Blocking also helps people who are homophobic, racist, sexist, or just hateful in general, or if you feel like the person in the lobby is unsafe. The best feature of blocking, at least in VR chat, is you can look up someone's username even when they aren't online and block them without having to come in contact with them. This is especially useful for people who are exposed as rippers, crashers, and those who treat content creators like they're something to collect. In this video, I want to cover different instances of blocking, and more importantly, the times when people may not block someone, regardless of how nasty they are. The usual disclaimer, I am not an expert on this subject, and I just wish to share my own thoughts and feelings on the situation. This video is also not just relating to VR chat, because like many of my videos, these issues are reflected on the general internet as a whole. But it will be referenced back to VR chat often because, that's kind of my channel. Telling someone to just block a person after speaking out about a negative situation not only infantiles the issue, but it also indirectly pushes the focus on the wrong person. Often, I've watched videos that showcase players when they are harassed by a group of strangers, and the comments are usually filled with people who question why the person who was harassed didn't just block them. Many times, the situation happens quickly, and the harassed is too shocked to respond in a way that you'd think. People will make mistakes online, react slowly, make the wrong choice, and of course, the same commenters cannot understand the difference between live reaction versus post-recording reaction. In VR chat, your life isn't in danger, but having those deer in headlight moments is still heavily possible. A few weeks ago, for example, I joined off some friends and was on desktop mode. Because of this, I was in a small furry little creature since I was spectating a murder mystery game. The little guy looks like a Pokemon, but fluffier. There was a handful of friends and I at least indirectly knew everyone in the instance minus one person. This guy came out of nowhere and just started making fun of my avatar and saying some pretty derogatory comments about furries. While I am not a furry, I do know many, and it upset me to know that this man, who is apparently a good friend of someone I care about deeply, decided to use me as an easy target. I can handle my own battles usually, but these comments were so out of left field I didn't know what to say. I was told that he can't wait for slaughter to be legal, and I don't remember the specifics of it, but he pretty much was just telling me that he wants to have a reason to kill furries, and that they should be put down before. This guy indirectly called me worse than a. So of course I was just like, whoa, I was stunned. I didn't know what to do, so I left, and I didn't want to be there anymore, and my night was honestly ruined. I spent a good few hours very upset because not only did some friend of a friend speak so terribly about me, somebody who he didn't even know, but also not a single person that I saw as a friend there stood up for me. And only one of them came forward and apologized for their lack of action after they realized how deeply it hurt me. I demanded the username of this guy, I looked him up on the website, and I blocked him. When you see a video or hear a story, you're not getting the full picture. From my perspective, the story of this hateful man had me feeling unloved by the people I held dear to my heart. I know if I heard someone, even if they were a friend, start calling another friend horrible things over an avatar, I'd shut that down quick. I wouldn't tolerate it. So knowing there were at least 3 people that I thought would stand up for me the one time I was too stunned to reply, and instead they started running off to play a different game, it hit me hard. But that's just the thing, it was my perspective. From the people who I felt betrayed me when I brought it up, they claimed that they either didn't hear it happen or they were too inebriated to really understand what was going on. Hearing and watching a story is always going to be from one person's perspective, and that causes people's opinions to shift depending on the situation. If I had this account and recorded and posted it online so people could hear live how strangers treat furries, I know I'd get a ton of comments saying I should have blocked him or why didn't I leave the instance. But I did. It's just not something that you would see. Also, when you tell someone to block another in a video that's showing someone's frustration on how they're treated, as I said earlier, you're just shifting the focus. Why should people feel the need to ignore the issue at hand, which is a very common problem online, and instead trying to make the poster feel bad about their actions? Why not instead comment about how the actions of these bullies are intolerable? Let me explain. If somebody impressionable, which many of these trolls are, ended up watching a video of someone being bothered in game, and the comments are just filled with, why didn't you block them? Why didn't you leave? You know what they take out of that? They take, I can do these things, and they'll tell me when to stop because they'll block me. They don't think about how their actions could ruin the night of the person they're bullying. And for some of you who have thicker skin, that doesn't bother you in the slightest because you don't understand or can't experience being hurt by random strangers. You are able to brush it off, so why don't others? And this is a very common thing I bring up in my videos, is the lack of humanizing strangers on the internet. None of us are the main character. We are all alive, we all have our own stories, our own feelings, our own ideals, and some of y'all treat others like NPCs. If you don't understand, at least listen and respect when somebody does struggle with online bullying, because they are the nastiest little things and will go after literally anything that hurts. Jacksepticeye talked about online bullies in his comment section one time, and about how the spam commenters were talking crap about his dead father. They don't care what they have to say and do to get to you because they're psychos. As long as they get the attention they never had as the child, they will say it. And when somebody posts a story about it, the focus should be on how screwed up that is, not just block them. Because most likely they already did. Sure, you can get real big red or green flags, but you're not going to be able to make a decision accurately on situations from just that one side, through camera lens that only show a small piece of the puzzle. It'll be a joyous day when people actually sit down and realize that there is always more to the story than what they see and what they're told, and to stop being so judgmental of every little thing. Nothing bothers me more, because it just shows how lacking our world is with empathy and how everyone thinks they know everything about the world. Even when I tell a story, I know there's going to be parts that I don't understand, I don't know, and you should expect that. I'm not saying that there aren't people out there who take abuse and just let it continue when they should have blocked. There was a popular VR chat TikToker who was known for aggravating and instigating fights with other creators and purposely pops into public worlds to start drama to post online. They've supposedly stopped doing this, but the point is there will always be a small part of any community that refuses to block either because it's good content for them or their own personal battles. Empathetic people care about everyone, strangers who've done them wrong included. I want to use the story I've told at the start about a creepy guy who wanted me to revive his trust in women for this example. It would have been so easy to block this man, and in hindsight, I should have done it as soon as he was being weird. But to me, there were so many other factors that I had to take into consideration. I also want to note that I don't consider myself hyper empathetic or whatever. I just consider myself a little bit more sensitive. Firstly, this was at an event where people were drinking and having fun. By blocking this guy, he's gonna cause a scene most likely and use the incident with me to either get the sympathy of someone else or start trying to harass the friends I'm with to convince me to unblock him. He was obviously a very disturbed man and needed help, and I didn't want to be another reason why he may do something drastic. I also didn't want to be the reason that something bad happened at the event that ruined the night for everyone. I could visualize this stranger who did nothing but make me feel uncomfortable, alone in his room and just breaking down. Self-loathing is a very powerful thing, and who knows if he just didn't know how to make friends or if he was trying to take advantage of his weaknesses. I didn't want to assume the worst. But I'm also at this point where I do understand that my needs are just as valid as anybody else's, and I set that boundary. And a lot of you need to do that as well. I don't believe in savior complexes. I know they're real and I know people get them, but in terms of strangers, I have zero drive to try and help someone through their own struggles. I have enough on my plate as it is. But someone who had many nights spent alone in a room hating my very existence, I knew how painful that was. I knew the feeling of just wanting something to go right for once. I think the real issue here is the heavy realization that each and every person you talk to is real. They're alive. They have their own stories. They have their own traumas, their own pain. And I hate thinking about it because it gets so overwhelming. I feel crushed by the pressure to try and make sure I'm not accidentally triggering something I'm not aware of. Everyone has invisible battles, but some are much nastier than others, and even if I'm not able to help, I want to at least not make it worse. That's only one example, and not every interaction is like this. For people who are loud, aggressive, purposely trying to start drama, they don't see me and the others that they harass as a human. They see me as an NPC in their own tiny little world. So those I don't have any problem with blocking, because I believe dishing out the same meal people serve you. If you treat me like I'm nothing but an object, you'll get the same treatment right back. I don't care. And what if you want to play a game in a public world? That's how I originally met many of my friends, was just jumping from murder to, well, murder. I didn't really do much besides murder back then. Blocking someone in an instance just ruins the game for everyone because now you've got two people who can't hear or see each other. Games like Among Us are low-key impossible to play normally unless you or the offending stranger leave. But do you know how hard it is to find a lobby with decent people in a public world nowadays? I like to go to public worlds to meet new friends because I'm a sucker for them, and 90% of the time I get streaming matches between nut jobs. Yes, it can be very frustrating when you know someone who tolerates a lot more than you would and isn't as trigger happy to block. There's honestly extremes to both sides. I knew someone who would automatically block anyone that sounded like a woman because he believed that women only caused problems. It can get super aggravating when either situation happens, either because they don't block or they block too quickly. But things can also get more complex in regards to blocking and, well, just the internet personality. Let's talk about two specific responses to harassment: alt accounts and evidence gathering. I used to follow a channel who would talk about their experiences documenting someone who would stalk and spam their channel. I don't know the origins of the story since I wasn't that interested, but I do remember them having to defend themselves from people who didn't understand why they couldn't just block the creep. The thing is, they had in the past. The first account was quickly blocked, but the chronically online knows no bounds. This individual would continue to make new accounts and try to post personal information, threats, derogatory comments, etc., to the point where the creator had a Google Drive filled with screenshots of these encounters. This happens where people will show up using alt accounts to continue a fight that should have ended. Sure, you can just block them again, but they'll just make a new account. In VR chat, I've seen a ton of people using alt accounts. It's pretty normal. But I've also seen people pretend to be somebody else using those alt accounts and hide their true identity from even their own friends. As a joke and quickly revealed, that's no big deal in my opinion. It's kind of funny, but building a whole new friendship on this lie is really creepy, especially if the alt is used to get close to someone who blocked you in the past, which I've also seen. Blaming the response on the person who is just trying to enjoy themselves is messed up. Also, just because I know my comment section, when it becomes too crazy that someone is starting to literally stalk you, being told to call the police isn't actually helpful. Police rarely do anything over stalking, especially online. There was a story recently about a very popular Twitch streamer who was stalked by a man, and he live streamed it! And the cops didn't do jack. If something happens or the person in question needs to retaliate, they're going to need as much evidence as they can provide to prove that their excess force was necessary. Ideally, you'd think that things would happen in a game would stay in a game, but in reality, they don't. To really tie it up, blocking is important. Blocking is necessary. People should utilize the block button more than is done. But also, don't forget that even when the offender is blocked and out of their life, it doesn't make the frustration, the fear, or sadness disappear. And when your comment is to just block them instead of letting the poster know that you understand their anger, you're just helping direct the narrative. If you don't want to sympathize, just move along without making a comment. Not everyone needs to hear your opinion. Commenting about the necessities of blocking should be safe for people who do purposely go out to instigate or have genuine concerns. There was a lot more that I wanted to say on this, but this video went on really long. So I'll end it with, once again, just be kind, be patient with each other. This video I hope can help you gain a new perspective on why something happened as it did, and instead of using your 15-second deduction skills, maybe you'll stop and think for a moment if what about you're about to say really matters in the long run. We are in some hard times right now. We don't need to make it harder for each other. I hope you all will be good and make sure to drink your water, eat some broccoli, and have a fantastic day. See y'all in the next video.